Hi, welcome to Conversion Conversations. This is Cameron, and today I'm taking a look at Transformers Generations Legacy, the Velocitron Speedia 500 Galaxy Shuttle, and I think this is the last of the Speedia 500 figures I'm going to be reviewing unless they announce some more. But here we've got Galaxy Shuttle in the Space Shuttle mode with the base. And I really like this figure. So this was my Christmas gift for the year. My wife got it for me. I missed the pre-order window on it, and I knew it was kind of hard to find at Targets or wherever. But she managed to find one for me, and I'm really excited. And yeah, it's really great. I mean, this is a neat little figure. I hadn't played around with the Siege Astrotrain mold before. It's got its issues, but overall, I'll say that I'm pretty happy with it. So here we have Galaxy Shuttle. We're going to take him off his launch pad. And yeah, it is a neat looking shuttle. I really like the color scheme. I much prefer the classic black and white space shuttle color scheme versus the Astrotrain, the traditional Astrotrain color scheme of gray and purple. I think this looks fantastic. It doesn't always hold together in the best way. Like here we can see kind of that tab doesn't want to lock in 100%, which is a little disappointing. It also feels kind of oddly bare in the back. Like we have such a strong connective line between the shuttle. It bulges out and then it kind of goes nowhere. I wish these sections could come up and slide back or something to form. If we've got this much parts forming, I wish some of it went to just make the space shuttle a little beefier. But in terms of colors, it looks nice. I mean, there we've got the Victory logo. I like that a lot. I like the white and blue painted on the black wing tail fin back here. We've got a little bit of, metallic blue peeking out. And then again, looking pretty good. I like how well the black train parts are hidden. Like, obviously we can see wheels here, but I feel like even at first glance, that's a little hard to make out. It feels like a very solid shuttle by itself, which I dig. And of course, this is a little on the smaller side for a liter, so they gave us this pack, which to me, having played with it, this doesn't really do much for me. Yes, it's a launch pad, and that is neat. It's got airlock, so it can connect with stuff. It can turn into a caboose. But in robot mode, it's just like a backpack, and that was surprising to me how little it integrates. I wonder why we couldn't just make this thing bigger and just get rid of this entirely. But yeah, in this mode, obviously I'm sticking the guns on in different spots, but you can take Galaxy Shuttle, who's a remold of Astrotrain, just a new head, I believe, put him here. And then, yeah, you'll notice here that this part I find really frustrating. I can't seem to get this to sit down straight. For a base mode, I'm surprised there's not an additional detent or locking mechanism to force this section down. Is this, I guess, let me know in the comments, is this a quality control issue that's just weird on my toy, or is this just a result of the design? It feels like it's a result of the design, because what I find is these sections down here are what is forcing it up when you put it against a table. But what I do like about this base mode is I've complained before about the airlock system and how it was introduced, replacing the Titan's Return locking system and then kind of abandoned. But I do like that we do get some points for airlocks here. So let me bring in, here is the, I forget what it was called. Is this the Rescue Patrol something? But we can hook things up like so. And there you've got, for your MicroMasters to drive up and then down the highway. And I really, again, obviously these were two, I think they were inspired, the bases were inspired by the same thing. So similar color schemes, not exactly the same blue, but we've got two space shuttles, which I dig and appreciate. Yeah, it's real neat to see them together. And then the big one, let me see if I can get this over here. If we're really trying to combine massive spaceship, space station modes, we can bring in Skylinks here, and let's, well, you know what, let's do this. We'll separate here. We're going to come in, and we'll connect airlock-wise here, straightening this out, and then letting us do come on. Oh, that really didn't want to attach. There we go. Put this building back on. Like so. And then we've got the big shuttle over here. So this sort of play pattern is something that I think I've said recently I feel is missing. Oh, I need to bring my camera up, don't I? There we go. This sort of play pattern I really, really enjoy. This is a very cool toy and interactive thing. I like the MicroMasters, so I really love that now in like a matching color scheme, essentially, right? It's not a perfect match, but the three space shuttles, like you can have, you know, your space station and you're launching your space shuttles to the stars, and that is really cool to me. That makes me really, really happy. It's the sort of thing that I felt is missing, especially from the Legacy line. I felt like it was the strongest in Titan's Return, where the Titan Master was a single toy figure that across all the different size classes you could play with in whatever form you wished. And then like Power Masters kind of like did it, but not as well. And then Siege did the MicroMaster thing, but I felt like they didn't commit to MicroMasters well enough. And now we know that MicroMasters have been discontinued. I guess they didn't sell well, which is a shame because I think they're neat. But I guess they didn't sell well enough, which is a shame. I feel like they didn't sell because they didn't give us enough remolds or new molds. It was just a ton of repaints. But because they didn't sell well now, we don't really have that. We just have, we've gone back to basics kind of, and now the gimmick is like transparent weapons, which look dumb. Like, if you're going to do a gimmick, commit to the gimmick, or don't worry about it and just give us good Transformers like Kingdom. Kingdom was awesome because it was like, we're just going to give you the best Generation scale Beast Wars figures we can, and that was fine. But yeah, so this, sorry, mini rant over. This is really cool. This makes me really happy. I dig that I've got this space station now. I gotta figure out a place to put it because my shelves are a little full, but I will absolutely be playing with this every now and then. That's just really, really neat. All right, we're gonna get rid of these. You know what? I'm just gonna cut and we'll come back to Galaxy Shuttle. All right, now if you're curious, if you don't have the whole station and you just want to see how he compares, now if we're just comparing the shuttle mode, here he is next to like a standard deluxe. So you can see, I mean, it is definitely like at least Voyager size, but maybe not quite what we're used to in leader size. I remember when Astrotrain was first announced, this was a controversial point that it was as small as it was compared to what we were used to in seeing leaders, especially from like the previous line from Combiner Wars and Titan's Return and all that stuff. Those were particularly large leaders. And Galaxy Shuttle and Astrotrain, if you're just focusing on the core toy, doesn't seem to fill out that price point very well. Now, I didn't check out Astrotrain before because I already have one, so I do want to compare those. This is my Astrotrain. Here we have DX9 Sugar. And here we can see it's kind of a pudgy spaceship mode, but I really like this spaceship mode, so I'm glad, like, I'm going to keep this as Astrotrain, and then I'll have this smaller Galaxy Shuttle here. And yeah, that works for me really well. And we can see here kind of, then obviously it's not a super fair comparison. They are very different price points and all that, but there we get to see them together. All right, with that said, let's go ahead and get into transformation. I'm going to take off these bright red guns, which this is like, I get a nod to the original Victory toy, but I don't love those bright red guns. I would very much have preferred all the weaponry to have been black like this. That, to me, is much more appealing. But we get rid of all that stuff. We're going to come in up top here, separate out the back engines, which are painted nicely. We're going to flip in the tail, and then we're going to flip in this whole section here, flipping it in, closing back up our engine section. There we go. Revealing our Galaxy Shuttle head, but we can flip these sections in on the side, and then we're going to close up around our Galaxy Shuttle head these wings. And I have found, let's see how bad this is. That's gotten loosened. There was some sort of extra piece of plastic or something in here. I've been trying to figure out, I can't tell. That doesn't look like a crack. But the first time I did this, I was following the steps and I just heard a pop and a teeny tiny bit of wet white plastic came out, and I've been like very paranoid about it since. I think maybe there was an extra piece of plastic in the pinhole that would just need to like get forced out and grind out. Now that I transform it, obviously this piece wants to come off. I feel like the nub on, you know what, that's probably what snapped actually. The nub back here is what snapped. I don't know why that was so tight, but like it's definitely annoying, and it's a quality control miss, but it doesn't prevent anything from working. That's unfortunate that it did break. All right, so then on this end, we're gonna come in. I'm trying not to like break anything. There we go, same thing here. Bring that down. And there are tabs and slots in the wings that we can hook up. Then we can come in and we're gonna flip up on either side. These sections, we're gonna split out our wing sections, our fuselage sections, split out the bottom of our shuttle nose, and we flip up this, what is that? That's like the bell, right? The whistle, the train whistle. Flip up the train whistle on each side. And then there's a neat little mechanism if we move the fuselage section back where we can, what's a good way to show this? If we'll go this way. I'm grabbing the outside of the nose and I'm going to shift it Oh, you know what? I'm grabbing the wrong section. Grabbing the back outside of the nose, and I'm going to shift it down. There we go. And you can see how that pin moves. It's a sliding mechanism, and we can rotate things around. Same thing on this side. Maybe it'll be more visible if I rotate this first. There we go. And you can see the front, the like cow catcher. We just want to push that down on the outside. There we go. Yeah, and that gets our train front. And then we can close things up. If I can get it lined up, and then that lets us close up what is now like the train front end of the engine, like so. And yeah, that piece rotated automatically into place as I was shifting things around, but on this side, you'll rotate this piece up, and it is a marvelous transformation. I really, really, really like the transformation from shuttle to train mode. It's pretty smooth, it's pretty clean, it's straightforward with a couple cool tricks, and look how well hidden both modes are. Like in shuttle mode, we couldn't see a lot of this black except the underside, which is where it's supposed to look. But then in train mode, it is like all black. Like this is not a great looking train, but I love the color change. That is very, very nifty to me. Now, if you flip them over, you can see his little robot head, you can see some shuttle bits in train mode, but the fact that it's a triple changer, and that alt mode to alt mode transformation is so smooth, and it changes its appearance so much is really nice. Now, the complaints I have, because I'm going to nitpick, I don't like that the wheels don't line up like anywhere. If you look, like these wheels are super narrow. I guess you could call them like guide wheels or something. If you have like train tracks and then you have the inner set of guide tracks, that's not a super common. That's a pretty rare like train thing. So that seems odd. And then you've got these big wheels here. And if you notice, these are not in line with the big wheels back here, really. I mean, it's enough for an illusion if you're looking at it from the side, and they are painted silver, and I do appreciate that. But from the bottom, they don't line up. What that results in is, if we're looking at these wheels rotating, you notice that not everything makes contact. Same thing on this side. Well, actually, that side seems to be... No, that center wheel is not catching. That is really unfortunate. We do have the jet engine exhaust back here, or not jet engine, the space shuttle exhaust back here. That, like, I get it, it can't be helped that much. The other thing I don't love is everything about this seems a slightly more modern, and then we've got, to me, a very archaic train front. I get that Astrotrain turned into like an old style train, but I very, very much prefer the modern train, like a diesel engine, a proper train, modern train, especially to go with that space shuttle that we're used to. Now, this is not all the transformation. We do have these gun bits. We've got this gun bit, and then we've got what was his base here. We can straighten these pieces out. We can essentially flip things in half. We're going to separate out the shuttle launch pad, flip it around, or no, wait, do we flip it around? No, I don't think we do. We can close up the top and then close in the sides. There's tabs and there's slots. Everything closes up nicely, and then we do have a caboose or a coal car, not a caboose, a coal car that we can attach here. And once again, these casters don't line up with anything else. They got a rolling wheel back here. So, you know, you can get him moving. It's a decently long train. It looks a little on the small side, but it's neat. If you try and flip it this way, nothing works. It's got me curious about what these like wheels are supposed to be for and represent. You can open the top, and you can put your weapons storage away in here. So I do like to take the, he's got a pair of twin red guns. Take those and stick them inside here on either side of those holes. Closing that up, closing that up. And then now here, you know, you've got 5mm holes wherever you want to stick stuff. So maybe this gun can go up top. This gun can, you know, we'll stick it up top also. And then he's got a red missile launcher. We can stick that on the side. Oh, there's the front. Stick that on the side like so, and still keep all our stuff together in this mode. Yeah, it's a train. It's neat enough. I was tempted to bring down Rail Racer to compare train modes, but that Rail Racer is pretty old. I was started transforming it, and I'm a little afraid that I'm going to break it, so I'm not going to do that. Instead, we'll compare him to Astrotrain's train mode. And here we can see our two train modes lined up, and this was actually an interesting one to me. I mean, Chigurh, when we get to robot mode, you'll see it's a much bigger robot mode, but this is like not that far off in terms of, like, yeah, I guess if we take off the caboose section, then we can see kind of the size difference. But this mass, like, it's not insignificant. I think it's just a shame that it didn't go into just making the coolest Astrotrain / Galaxy Shuttle possible. Because, like, if that had just been all part of the same train mode, I think it would have looked great. And again, like, we can see here the difference. I think, right, Galaxy Shuttle here does a much better job of hiding the space shuttle pieces than the third-party design did. But I just like this design for a train better than this one. This is, you know, this is my grandfather's train. I love, like, Rail Racer, I love the modern trains, that sort of thing. So seeing the two of these next to each other, this has been enlightening. I get where, like, I mean, this is clearly much heavier. This in hand feels maybe like a small liter. It's just a shame that, of course, like, this much of it is, like, just kind of extra bits that I think, for me, this adds value because it incorporates into the base play pattern. But I wonder if for most fans, if they don't care about this and they're just like, why am I paying liter prices when all I'm getting is like this Voyager here kind of thing. But that is that comparison. Let's get Chigurh out of here and let's go ahead and transform into robot mode. So we're going to start out, we're going to take this section, we're just going to leave it alone for now. Coming in here, we are going to rotate out our wheels. Can we get them up out of the way on both sides? Like so. Then we can come in and we can flip these sections up. Splitting these legs here, just like we did when we were converting from shuttle to train mode. Now that the legs are split, We can push in on each side. The little front end piece slide down our cow catcher mechanism, and then rotate back, get those even, and then rotate back the shuttle nozzle. Same thing on this side, rotate that back. And now, instead of rotating these back up like we would for a shuttle, we can just bring these down, encapsulating that section entirely. And the very last thing is coming in on the bottom here. And this is, like, I feel very well hidden. I couldn't even tell until I transformed it the first time where the feet were. But we can come in on the bottom here and lift this section out. There's a white peg that goes into a hole here, rotating things around, and there is a teeny tiny hole there and a teeny tiny peg here that we can get lined up to solidify our robot mode feet. And we do still, with the transformation and everything, we do still have ankle tilts, which is an impressive little bit of engineering to me. Same thing on this side, come in around, making sure that peg is lined up like so. I do wish that this section could flip around maybe and cover things up or lock in. I feel like sometimes when I'm playing with it and posing with it, this little tab comes, or this little peg comes undone. But, you know, it is overall pretty solid. And look at that, like we're kind of almost done. We're gonna come in and we're gonna lift up our wings again on each side, lifting these back on each side, separating out our engine here, and then bringing this whole assembly down. Before we plug it in, we can come in and do the arms. We're gonna flip the arms down, and they click on each side, flipping them up and around, and flipping out our fists. There we go. We can flip down our skirt pieces to reveal some nice, those are really tight, metallic blue abs. And now that this section is kind of, this chest section is done, we can come in and collapse, and there are slots here for these white tabs to find, and then this section can collapse down and against everything. And yeah, here is Galaxy Shuttle in his like base robot mode here, and he looks pretty nice. Again, maybe a little on the small side. Just a quick comparison. Here we have him next to Alita, this is a small deluxe. So you can see, like, I mean, he is a solid little Voyager. Like mass-wise, he's solid. He's got engineering in there that's more complex maybe than a Voyager. Maybe, I don't even know about that. But he's a small little boy. Which, for Galaxy Shuttle, I think I'm much more okay with than I would be for Astrotrain. But he does look really nice. I really like that head sculpt. That is a very good Victory head sculpt right there. Love the painted eyes, all that stuff. Love the contrast. I think black and white Transformers are some of my favorites, and I struggle with it because I don't like cop cars. But then, like, obviously Prowl is like the classic example. So I always buy Prowls, I play with them, and then I'm like, I don't want a cop car in my collection. But yeah, I think he looks pretty great. We do have a little more red in this mode. We've got a teeny tiny bit more red, a little more silvery metallic blue, these nice silver legs. Yeah, I think paint-wise, he looks pretty great. In terms of articulation, the head can wiggle just fine. I do wish, if we come in on the back, if we can take a look, I don't know if I can move that down any further, but if we can look at the back of the head sculpt, that is a ball joint it's around. I wish the head sculpt was shaped in such a way that instead of, can I get that in there? Instead of that like bar in the back, we could tilt the head further up so we could be flying and looking forward. That would be really nice. The shoulders do 360. You got to watch out for the wings, but they do 360. They can come in so far because of the shape of the shoulders, not quite 90 degrees. There is a bicep swivel in there. We do have double jointed elbows, which I appreciate. No wrist swivel or anything. We do have a waist swivel, which I appreciate. It doesn't come into play during transformation, but it is there. And we do get, you know, the full Van Damme side. The skirts and things go out so far, can't go back very far. We do have thigh swivel, and we do get a very solid knee bend, as well as the ankle tilt, which is very tight on this figure. But I did mention it earlier, so, you know, if you want to get him in a dynamic action pose, you can absolutely do that, and he looks pretty solid doing it. All right, let me flatten that foot out. Now, that isn't everything the toy can do. We obviously have this section of parts here. We can bring out the guns, bring that missile launcher out. Can I get it out? There we go. Come in, pull these pieces out. All right, so we have this section of plastic. First thing is we can separate out these silver pieces, and it is really tight. Let me, there we go. These silver pieces form boots for him, and I don't love the way this looks. It just looks like he's wearing like his comfy Sunday slippers. I like this metallic plastic isn't anywhere else on the toy, so it really stands out. Even his thighs are like a nice silver. I'm curious as to why these two don't match, or why not just make this black? If this was black, then like maybe it would look better as a foot. As is, it doesn't really integrate into his body. It just like looks like he's standing on something. I guess it adds half an inch of height, but like, well, what's that really doing on this guy? He's already like teeny tiny for what he should be. This part does, what do we do here? We come in, we're gonna flip this section around, close that up, and then this part forms a backpack, like a literal backpack. It does kind of remind me of the Gundam RX-79 ground type, like that, like where it had a backpack where you could keep weapons and stuff on here. So like this Gatling gun, minigun type of thing, we could stick back in here, for example, and then mount it onto his back. But like all that's doing is, on a relatively clean toy, it's just adding a massive backpack. Like, is that value added? Is that something people are clamoring for? I don't know. It is neat that we got that, and he does have 5mm pegs everywhere on the wings, on his forearms. I do like that these guns have side pieces, so I can stick the twin guns on each of his forearms on the side to kind of keep them more flush. I do like that. We can take this black gun and we can put it here in his hand, and take the missile launcher, put it on his shoulder, because he does have two shoulder 5mm pegs. So, you know, the fact that this is Astrotrain from Siege means he does have the 5mm pegs to support all the weaponry. To me, like, look at, like, we put him down and he looks good. If you start futzing around with him, I feel like he leans back too easily because of this backpack. You don't have to keep it on him, and I don't think I will. But then again, it comes down to, okay, he had a really cool launching platform, and that I really like that. That is value for me as a particular fan of that gimmick. But I don't believe that most fans liked this. To me, like, these platform shoes and this backpack is all extra plastic that could have gone into just trying to size him up a little more. Especially at the $50 price point, right? This was a gift for me, and I love him as a gift for me. But in terms of like recommendation, I don't know that I'd recommend someone going out and buying a $50 Astrotrain, or this guy I think is more expensive than that. Maybe he's like $60 because he's like an exclusive repaint or something. Maybe he's 50. If Galaxy Train is 50, I dig this as Galaxy Train. I'm okay with Galaxy Train being a little on the smaller side. He's a cute Autobot boy. I really like him. We're going to show him off with like Victory Saber. I like him with the Victory team that we're building up. That's really neat. I like the colors and all that. But like, hopefully you can get him on sale. To me, this is like a really nice $35 toy. Is it a really solid $50 toy? I don't think so. off the top of my head. All right, let's get into comparisons. There we go. Here is Galaxy Shuttle next to Shigur, next to my Astrotrain. And I actually do like this scale for the two. I don't know why, but I think the Transformers Cyberverse show got me really into the idea of Astrotrain being just an absolute behemoth of a bot. So I kind of like the way these two look next to each other in my collection. But again, this just reminds me of like, I get that this is a third-party figure. I think it originally came for $100. This is not a fair comparison in terms of price point and value. But I feel like more could have been done here. Just looking at the two of them, like these just being painted black would have been helpful. But it's also, it feels small, right? Like comparing him and a little one here, he just feels like a very small leader. You know, and I feel like I keep hammering that point home, and I guess it's just because it's new to me, and I'm just continually surprising myself by that. But next, let's look at him next to Victory Saber. And here we have the two of them together. And I probably need to adjust my camera again, because Victory Saber is a tall boy. There we go. Yeah, I think, you know, I mean, obviously, again, Galaxy Shuttle just feels small, but that's because Astrotrain feels small. I've said that a billion times. But yeah, I do like the way they look next to each other. I like having like the Victory characters together. Yeah, it's, you know, it's the sort of thing where I don't think I would recommend, like I said earlier, I wouldn't recommend Astrotrain unless you get them on sale. And Galaxy Shuttle, if you can get them for the leader price point, it's a cool enough exclusive repaint that I'd recommend it. But by the merits of the mold, it's a good mold. I'm not saying it's not good, but I don't know that it gives me $50 worth of value, especially because a chunk of that money went into this piece. And this piece doesn't do a lot for me except for specifically the space station mode, which I really like, but I recognize most people don't care too much about. That's it for today's review. Thanks for watching, and keep an eye out on next week when I'll be dipping back into the Legacy line of last year to catch up on some of the reviews that I haven't done yet. Thanks, everyone. Bye.